Hey guys, we are back with some more Edmonton Oilers franchise mode, and in this one, we are going to be making a trade to start things out, as we have been in a slump, but not just the team, but quite a few of our players as well. Ty Ratty being one of them, only 8 points so far in 31 games, when last year he had 52, and 43 the year before that. It's really a brutal season for Ty Ratty, but not only Ty Ratty, Leon Draisaitl, only 13 points so far in the season, 69 last year, 51 in year number one. It's just a very slow season for whatever reason for all these guys. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 9 points in 31 games. I mean, I have no idea what's going on here at Edmonton, but these guys are just, for some reason, not doing it. Gagne had 39 points last year, only 9 points so far. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I think what this calls for is a change of scenery trade. And I haven't made one of these trades in a while. Normally, any trade that I make is a clear upgrade to whatever we have, or is, depending on the state of the team, we get draft picks back, or something that makes sense. But here in this case, this does still make sense for both teams. Each player involved in this trade definitely needs a change of scenery. So we are actually going to be making this trade with the Anaheim Ducks. And on our side, we are going to be getting Sam Gagne and Ty Ratty on here. We're also going to be throwing Maximov on here as some additional trade value. Now, they don't want any of these guys, and understandable, because, that obviously they haven't been performing to where they usually are, but they're on one-year deals, and for who they're sending back the other way, I think, it just makes sense as a change of scenery kind of trade. And with both teams, obviously Anaheim is 16-12-4, so they're not in a terrible spot, but they could be doing better. And we're 14-14-3. We definitely need to be doing better. So I think this trade just makes sense in general. And who we're going to be getting back is Devon Shore and Corey Perry. That's right. Oilers fans, I know probably don't like Corey Perry, but he's only got 10 goals, 4 assists so far. So you got to think maybe Anaheim's looking to move him. He's only got 1 year left on his deal. That's why I'm willing to trade for him. And we're going to be retaining 33% of Perry's salary. So it's only down to, I believe that'll take him to $5.8 million for 1 more year. So if we do re-sign Perry, it's definitely not going to be for that much. And Devon Shore is on here because he has yet to play a game for the Anaheim Ducks. So when I say change of scenery, basically every player on here meets that criteria, other than maybe Maximov, who, even you can argue Maximov could use a change of scenery at 21 years of age. He is still in our AHL system. Maybe he will develop for the Anaheim Ducks. You never know. So Gagne, Ratty, and Maximov for Shore, and Perry at 33% of his salary retained from the Anaheim Ducks. Proposed trade accepted, and they'll see us out on the ice. All right, so there you go. I kind of felt like we had to make a trade just based off the pattern that we were going in. We were winning a few games, but then we lost just as many games. Obviously, 14-14-3. And Gagne and Ratty were slumping hard compared to what they have done in the past couple of years. And Perry, obviously, he's a veteran presence there. Shore has yet to play for Anaheim, so he is definitely going to get some time here for your Edmonton Oilers. And obviously, there's no real clear upgrades here. It's just more of, once again, pretty much just a change of scenery trade to see what it does for all the players involved. So Perry is going to be with Nuge and Larson, and then Shore, I guess, is going to be with Draisaitl and Puljujarvi. We'll see what these lines do. See what that trade does in general. So welcome to the Edmonton Oilers, Corey Perry and Devon Shore. And one other change I'm going to make, I'm going to take Johan Larson off the penalty kill. His takeaway to giveaway ratio was very, very bad when we checked at the end of the episode. 13-28 at the end of the last episode. So we are definitely taking him off there. And we'll put... It's either going to be Devon Shore or Corey Perry. And unfortunately, we don't have any data on Shore for this season yet, but he did have a good amount of hits and blocks and takeaways to giveaways last season with the Anaheim, which is why I traded for him. And he's 26 years of age, so I figured why not? We'll give him a shot. So I'm hoping that trade is what reignites our team. And once again, there was obviously no clear upgrade for us, but it was the change of scenery for all the players that counted. So for Bakersfield, yeah, I guess we'll just go best lines. I think that's the way it was before anyway. So Wisniewski now getting on the first line. I just got to make sure that Wisniewski's on the power play, which he is not here, so we'll get him on. Alright, so we're going to get back into the simulation now. All those line changes are done, and hopefully they can get us back on track, because we really desperately need it right now if we want any chance of making the playoffs. We're now, I think it was 7 points back of the third divisional spot, and we're 5 points back of that wild card where Anaheim is. So we're going to go the rest of the month, and if we lose more than we win, it looks like it might just be about over. This was really not the time for this game. Tyson Barrie injured with a mild concussion until December 29th. Regardless, we're going to have to get Ethan Bear back in. Alongside Oscar Klefbom, I suppose. Alright, so still a pretty inconsistent Edmonton Oilers team, but it's a little bit better. Whenever we're winning by a wide margin. 4-1 win against Philly, 5-1 win against Tampa, who are really down on the dumps this year. 11-22-6, my goodness. 3-1 loss against Minnesota, 3-2 overtime loss against Anaheim. 5-2 win against Vancouver, a 5-4 shootout loss against Calgary, a 3-2 loss against San Jose, and then a 4-1 win against LA. So once again, whenever we're winning big, but we're still kind of not in the greatest pattern. We're 18-16-5. Let's see where we are in the standings. We are 41 points, so we're 3 points back of Anaheim now, and we have a game in hand. So that's the good news out of all of this. And even better news is that the first line has stayed consistent as McDavid now has 43 points in 39 games. He looks to have potentially a 90-point season at this rate. He's getting points pretty much every game, which, you know, is obviously what we need out of him if we have any chance of making the playoffs here. Let's see how Devon Shore's done. Devon Shore, in 8 games played for us, has 5 points. So pretty good trade so far for him. 22 points for Leon Draisaitl. So where was he at before? He was at 13. So that's 9 points in the last 8 games. Leon Draisaitl has finally turned it on. Now what about Puljujärvi? 22. I don't remember how many points Puljujärvi had before, but I'm sure since Draisaitl's going now, that Puljujärvi is at least starting to pick it up as well. So Corey Perry, I don't remember how many points he had either, but he has 11 goals, 7 assists in 40 games. So obviously, most of that's probably from Anaheim, but I would imagine he's helping out Nuge a little bit. Nuge now has 15 points. Nuge had 9 points before, so that's 6 points in, 8 games? Yeah, so Nuge is now starting to get going as well. So I think those trades were a really good idea. We'll see how everything pans out at the end of the season, but I'm liking that trade so far. So we'll go, I guess, another 2 weeks to see how we do, because this team, you know, you don't want to go too long in the simulation with it without having any stoppages, because it's, as it stands right now, just still not the greatest situation, so we really got to keep a close eye on things. Give me a break, dude. Leon Draisaitl injured with back spasms until January 20th. As soon as he gets going, he's injured for at least, I think that's about 3 weeks from now. Give me a break, dude. Marodi's got to get in there now, and then Nuge up to the second line. I would say Kara up to the third line. Yikes. So Leon Draisaitl's back, thank goodness. We desperately need him. Alright, so another rough month. A 4-1 loss against the Rangers, 4-2 win against the Penguins, 5-2 loss against the Coyotes, 2-1 overtime win against the Kings, 2-1 win against the Vegas Golden Knights, 2-1 loss against the Ducks, 3-2 loss against the Canes, 5-2 win against the Sabres, 6-1 loss against the Maple Leafs, 5-2 loss against the Lightning, and then a 2-1 overtime win against the Ducks. We're 23-22-5. Oh boy. We're 6 points back of the Canucks now. Yikes. And it looks like that first line slowed down too. That's just great. Yeah, why? Why does this game do this to me, man? I'm not sure. Speaking of Shore, Devon Shore has 8 points in 19 games played, so he definitely slowed down there. The story of this season, man. Slumps everywhere. Leon Draisaitl, 23 points in 42 games. I think he might have slowed down as well. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, he did have that injury, but still. Let's see, Marner, 41 points. Yeah, that first line is slowed down too. Dzingel at 28 points. Dzingel has really slowed down. Oh my goodness. What to do? This really wasn't the year to do this, Edmonton. This was not the year to do this. We traded our first for Tyson Barrie. Come on. 266 goals for per game. I mean, it stayed consistent basically the whole year, but we're just not... The team itself is not being consistent in terms of, goal scoring from game to game. The only reason it's that goals for per game has stayed at 2.66 is because we're scoring a lot in one game and then we're scoring nothing in the next. And goals against per game has gone up to a 2.54. So, I mean, it's stayed pretty consistent there, too. We've stayed below a 2.55 basically all year. Robin Lehner, at least as of last checked, has been doing fine. We'll check out his stats momentarily, but I think, to be honest with this team, it comes down to consistency, and we have not been able to find that at all. Besides maybe Connor McDavid and Mitch Marner, who are also now slowing down as well. Power play, 15.5%. Penalty kill. Okay, so the penalty kill is the one bright spot of this team, 82.5. Remember, that was at around a 68% in the first month of the season, where we let up 9 power play goals in that first month. So now, in the time span that we have simulated, we're almost in February now. We've only let in, 13 power play goals since the first month of the season. That penalty kill is shining bright right now. That is probably one of the only bright spots to our team. Last 10, 5-5. Away, 11, 12-3. Home, 12, 10-2. Slightly better at home than we are away. But it doesn't really matter right now because we're just in general not... Oh my goodness, that's ugly. That's ugly. McDavid, 47 points. Marner, 41. And then it drops right down to the Dzingel at 28. Puljujarvi, 28. Draisaitl, 23. This is not looking good. Barrie with 23. He is about on pace for what I expect. 40-point season should be, at least out of him. So I'm glad we made that Barrie trade. I am. It's just that there's a lot more pressure when you have your first round traded over to, Colorado, and you're potentially missing out on the playoffs, and then it could turn into a lottery pick. Corey Perry with 22 points, Nuge with 21, Kara with 18, Maroon 18, Adam Larson with 17, Johan Larson as well with 17, Klefbom with 16. Klefbom has less points than Adam Larson. What is going on here? Yamamoto with 15 points. How many power play points does he have? Nothing. So we may as well just take him off the power play. He's just, that entire power play unit is for whatever reason just dead. Darnell Nurse with 12 points. Devon Shore with 8 and 19. Bouchard with 7. Byram with 5. Marody with 2 in 8. Bear with 1 in 3. Shots. Yeah, I mean, you don't really expect anything less. McDavid, 183. And shooting percentage, Marody doesn't count. McDavid with a 14.8. Kara with a 13.7. Maroon with a 13.4. Everybody else is below a 10. Yikes. Power play goals. I mean, McDavid, Perry probably got most of those from Anaheim. And then McDavid had 6. Marner has 4. Marner has not scored a single power play goal in this simulation, at least in this video yet. Yikes. Where does it stop with this team? I'm not sure. Do we have any shorties? Yeah, we have one shorty by Adam Larson. My goodness. Face-off percentage, let's see. So, Draisaitl 56.6, McDavid 54.8, and it ends there. Nuge 49.8, so he's close to a 50. Kara 46.1. I really don't like the way that Kara simulates as a center. Hits, McDavid 90 hits, so he's just doing everything. And we know about all these guys, and then all the guys down here who never hit. You know, at this point we're used to it. Blocks, who leads forwards, that would be Ryan Dzingel with 19. And takeaway to giveaways, this should be interesting. So, Nuge, he's been really good defensively. I just wish he would turn on offensively at some point. Puljujärvi, he's been the same. Good defensively, needs to be better offensively. McDavid, he's the only, well-rounded player, it seems, on this team so far this year. And Marner, he's been great as well. Draisaitl, he's been great defensively, not offensively. It's just this team, I don't know. Dzingel, his takeaway to giveaway ratio has really suffered, it looks like, this season. 33 to 44. Remember that last season that was 70 to 45. Klefbom 27 to 40, 26 to 39 for Darnell Nurse, 25 to 25 for Maroon, 23 to 22 for Perry, 22 to 22 for Kara, 22 to 19 for Yamamoto, 21 to 37 for Johan Larsson. That is brutal. This is probably his last year on the team. Just based off that, because that's not acceptable. 19 to 48 for Adam Larson, 18 to 11 for Devon Shore, 15 to 44 for Tyson Barrie, 10 to 23 for Evan Bouchard, 8 to 47 for Bowen Byram, that's kind of brutal, 2 to 4 for Marody, and 1 to 2 for Bear. Fights, that would be Barrie and Byram with the fights so far this year. And in goal, Robin Leonard, he's been solid. 922, that was at a 924 before. He's still got that backup potential, which is, I don't understand at 29 years of age. When he's putting up numbers like this, that doesn't make sense. And Mrazek has only played 6 games, so yeah, it's mostly just Leonard doing most of the work, and he's doing fine. He's doing fine at it. It's just our team, in general, other than McDavid and Marner, for some reason, can't score. I mean, you guys saw, we made a trade, and we've been shuffling lines basically all season. Nothing's working right now. I seriously thought this team was ready, but it's looking like we might be missing out on the playoffs, because we're still a good chunk of points behind the wild card. And the Central Division isn't exactly doing us any favors either. St. Louis actually has more points than Vancouver, so our only hope right now is to catch Vancouver, and they're 6 points ahead. Okay, so let's scrap the idea of Nuge running his own line. Let's put him on the second line with Draisaitl and Puljujärvi, Shore with Perry and Larson. Actually, I'm going to move Larson down to the fourth line. He's been terrible. With Kara and Yamamoto, and then Maroon, Shore, and Perry. So, this is what's going to have to do it. We'll take Yamamoto off the power play. I'll get Dzingel on there. And, yeah, other than that, there's really not a whole ton of changes we can make. I'm going to separate Barrie and McDavid, just for the sake of it, because, maybe you get an offensive defenseman on that second power play line that's just been absolutely dead, and maybe it'll revive it a little bit. I'm going to put Bouchard with Klefbom, so that's Nurse and Barrie. and then Klefbom and Bouchard with the McDavid line. All right, so that should do it. We'll just make the same changes here. And the penalty kill has been fantastic, so I'm not changing that. So we need something here in Edmonton. I don't know what it is, but we need something. Actually, you know what? Let's get Maroon with McDavid and then Dzingel with Shore and Perry. I'm trying anything at this point because we really cannot afford to miss the playoffs this year, given that we traded that first round pick, and that might come back to haunt us. Now, I don't regret that Barrie trade because I felt like that was the one piece that this team needed. It's just that this team, for whatever reason this season, could not and still cannot stay consistent in goal scoring, and it's just not looking good. Well, we just went another 2 weeks. We're about a week and a half away from the trade deadline. We are 27-5. This team just cannot stay consistent for the life of it. A 2-0 loss to Nashville, a 2-1 loss to Winnipeg, a 4-2 win against the Islanders, a 4-3 loss against the Predators, a 3-1 loss against the Sharks, 4-3 win against Chicago, 6-1 loss against the Sabres, a 4-0 win against the Vegas Golden Knights, a 6-3 win against LA, but we're still just, it's so painful because some games we're on, and then other games it's just completely off. There's no in between with this team. We're now 8 points behind the Vancouver Canucks. I don't think and we're they have a game in hand on us. I don't think it's happening. I think this team's done. And it pains me to say that because of the first round pick, but I think this team's done. I've been trying everything. I don't think there's a way that I can get this team to get back on track before the end of the season. We're already 3/4 of the way done, and really nothing is working. Nothing's working with this team for whatever reason. It's just a bunch of slumping players for whatever reason. Leon Draisaitl with how many points? 31. Jeez. I mean, he just needs to get going. As that 90 overall, we need him getting at least 60 to 70 point seasons, and right now he's on pace for, I would say, 45. That's just not good enough. Jesse Puljujarvi, he needs to be better now as an official top 6 winger, 88 overall as well. Nuge, he's just having a slump of a lifetime right now for 24 points in 59 games. That's just brutal. Ryan Dzingel, he is on a huge slump right now of his own. 29 points. I believe he might have had 1 point in the simulation that we just had right now. Devin Shore, 9 points. He's been slumping too. Corey Perry's been slumping big time as well. It's just everybody on this team's been slumping, other than the first line, of course, with McDavid and Marner. But even Maroon, I highly doubt has been helping out that much. It's basically just McDavid and Marner as far as forwards go, and then Barry's been doing okay. So I'm not completely mad at that trade. I think Barry still has something to offer us, definitely in the future. So I want to keep Barry on the team, and I'm glad that we made that trade, if not for this season, and it's just amplified based off what we gave up in that first round pick. And I thought this team was going to be good, but it's basically over at this point. Let's be real. 27-27 and what is it, 5 or 6, however many it is. It's just not happening. We would have to win basically every game from now on to even have a chance. And we're 8 points back of the wild card now. I don't think it's happening. Oscar Klefbom, he's been slumping too. I mean, no surprise there. Basically everybody's been slumping. Adam Larson. This is one guy who has not been slumping. This guy is on track for a career high in a full season. Oh my goodness. Evan Bouchard with 9 points, minus 20. That's brutal. Bowen Byram with 5 points, minus 18. So that rookie pairing has kind of been killing us, but we can't bench either of them because they're both the future of this team on defense. So, and then Robin Leonard. That is not Robin Leonard. That's Peter Mrazek. Robin Leonard has been doing just fine. He's been consistent he has been one of the only consistent players on our team all year. 923 save percentage. None of this is his fault. But unfortunately, it looks like he might be on his way out. because he's got that 1-year deal remaining. He's been playing fantastic, but he has that backup potential role now. And not only that, but as of last checked anyway, he did not want to resign, and that doesn't usually change. He still does not. So I think Leonard's got to be on the way out here at the trade deadline. As much as it pains me, because I love the way that Leonard has been simulating here, but he's basically the only player on the team that I've loved the way that he's simulated. I mean, even McDavid, he's had his ups and downs. Marner has had his ups and downs. I mean, for the most part, it's been up with those two, but those are the only two, other than Leonard, that have been, for the most part, on the season. Everybody else, besides, Larson and maybe Barry, has just been in an incredible slump this year, and I can't explain it. I really can't. We made that trade for Corey Perry and Devon Shore to try to, spark something, and it looked like we did at the time, temporarily. Devon Shore had 5 points in his first 8 games. He got Leon Draisaitl going before his injury. 9 points in 8 games for him. And I don't know what Perry did, but he obviously got Nuge going at the time, 6 points in the first 8 games of the simulation. And now we're back to the old Edmonton Oilers. I can't explain it. I can't explain it other than we just still have a severe lack of talent, mainly in the bottom 6, and as well as inexperience on the defensive core, just equals no playoffs this year. So I'm thinking we're probably sellers. As much as it pains me to say, we're probably sellers going into this trade deadline. We're going to simulate the last couple of games before the deadline, but it's looking like sell season here, boys. Let's see. Game against Arizona, absolutely not trading anyone yet until we see what this, there's no, I don't think it's not happening. A 5-1 loss to Arizona, and then all right, so we got a win against Colorado. I guess that's good. 2-1 win against Ottawa. And Ottawa's actually pretty good right now. Colorado is not. Oh my goodness, this team. 29, 28, and 5. Even with those past 2 wins, I don't feel good about this team. It's just been way too back and forth. We'll sim this game against Arizona as well as slow sim, because why not at this point? But I think we're seriously sellers at the deadline. So first period, all right, solid first period. Puljujarvi, McDavid, and Shore on Pickard, and Dvorak on Mrazek. Oh great, Mrazek's in there. Second period, nothing doing. Third period, oh jeez, we're tied. Kolakowski and Hinostroza on Mrazek. Yikes. Overtime, shootout. Okay, we won in the shootout. Fair enough. What a collapse. All right, so we're 30, 28, and 5 now, heading into the trade deadline. Where do we sit is the question. We're still 7 points behind the Anaheim Ducks, and Vancouver's just going up. I don't think Vegas, Calgary, or LA are going to catch us. But that being said, I don't think we're gonna catch Anaheim or Vancouver or San Jose either. I think we're staying in 5th, and I think the Minnesota Wild, the Central Division just basically has us beat. I mean, even the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars have more points than us, and they're in 6th in the Central. So I don't think it's happening. I think this season is kind of lost at this point. So since this is a pretty big draft year, at least in terms of our depth drafting, I have assigned our scouts to judge by potential and comparison, because there is, once again, not much depth to this draft, as I only have 5 guys pinned, and even this guy Spiller, we probably are not going to be able to get unless we trade into the mid to late first round, because other than that, there's 1 medium elite, 1 medium top 4 defenseman, 1 medium top 6 forward, and then 1 low elite defenseman. Other than that, there's basically nobody in this draft that we're going to be able to pick up with our 2nd or 3rd or 4th round picks. So in terms of the team's performance, well, I would say we're 90% out of it at this point. I don't see us coming back, because We have 19 games left. We currently sit with 65 points. We would need 15 wins to get to 95 points. 15 wins out of 19 remaining games. I don't see that happening. I really don't. So, I mean, there's almost no chance of that happening with the way this team has been simulating. And once again, we've tried basically everything. We've been shifting lines around. We made a trade, Guy and Ratty to Anaheim for Shore and Perry, and it's just not working out. For whatever reason, it's not working out. The only line that's working is McDavid and Marner and Robin Lehner. Those are the only things we have going for us. I don't see this team making the playoffs. I don't. And as much as it kills me, because, we obviously traded the first round pick, I'm heavily considering trading Robin Lehner. Because, number one, he does not want to re-sign. He's on a 1-year deal, so I figure give him to a team that needs him for a playoff run. And he's also got that backup potential, so he's probably, if we do keep him, he's definitely going to drop after this season. I don't see him keeping that 85. Even though he's performed just fine, he has a 919 right now, he's still got that backup potential, which means he's likely going to drop. So, I think we should trade Robin Lehner, just get as much value back for him as possible, maybe get a couple of seconds in there. It's tricky trying to trade a starting goaltender to a team that needs one, because usually the teams that need starting goaltenders don't want to give up their first round picks. So, I do have a trade in mind. I was looking around for a trade for about probably a half hour to 45 minutes just to sort of explore all of our options here, and there's really not much. But there was one trade that stood out to me, and that would be to the Chicago Blackhawks. They're 32, 24, and 6. They need Robin Lehner. They need a goaltender. And even though it says they're a rebuilder, they have Bernier, who's an 81, and then they have Sateri, who is a 77, then they have Delia, 72. Yeah. So they needed a starting goaltender, especially if they're looking to make a push for the playoffs, and I believe they're either in a divisional spot or in a wild card, because I wrote down a list of teams that were all competing for a playoff spot, and Chicago was one of them. So if we're looking at potentially moving Robin Lehner here. They don't want to give up their first, but they do have a ton of draft picks that they want to give up. So if we take a look here, we'll just try to trade for the first. Rejected. All right. So there's nothing else that I really think Chicago will want back in order to give up that first. Maybe we could try including Bear. I mean, I did say that he was trade bait, and he's barely gotten in there this season, so we'll see what that does. No, okay. So, I really don't want to give up much more for a first, especially for a first that's not a lottery pick, more than likely. So, we're going to be trading Lehner straight up for a second, a third, a fourth, and a second for next year. Yeah, that's quite a bit of value going back our way. And I think it'll be worth it. Even though, there's no reason for us to really, tank this year. It's still, I think it's in our best interest to get as much value back for Robin Lehner as possible. And this is the value that is available to us right now. 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. If we could, that's why I assigned all of our scouts to scout for potential comparison, so we could have as many prospects uncovered as possible. Because this is going to be a huge draft in terms of depth for us, because we obviously don't have our first round pick, and I'm hoping that first round pick does not end up being the first, second, or third overall pick in the lottery, because if it does, it's that's an ugly trade. But once again, I'm not. I would have made that trade again for Tyson Barrie. I definitely would have. It's just that, once again, the team's lack of success this year magnifies that trade probably by 100. And once again, I see no reason to keep Robin Lehner. Obviously, he's doing great, but the rest of the team isn't. And what use is a good goaltender if the rest of your team isn't even scoring? And he's, once again, on a 1-year contract, doesn't want to re-sign. He's going to drop more than likely after this season, and we'll get as much value back from him as possible with this trade. So we are going to be trading him right now, making an executive decision, because we are just... the likelihood of us making the playoffs is very, very slim. Once again, we would need at least 15 wins out of our last 19 games. I don't see that happening with the way this team has been simulating. So, Lehner to Chicago for 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. Will it go through? And it looks like it will. There you go. Trade accepted. We consider a done deal. So, Lehner, you did us well in your time here, but it's clear that your team just did not want to play this year for whatever reason. So, we're going to have to ride Mrazek for the rest of the season. We'll call up Wells. Skinner and Rodrigue can do everything down there in the minors, and we're, once again, going to have to ride Mrazek for the rest of the regular season, and that is not a good thing, at least in terms of wins. So, with that trade of Lehner, this team is officially, I'm calling it, this team is out of the playoffs. I know there was still a slight chance, but again, it was a very, very slight chance. I would rather trade Lehner and get a lot of value back, especially value for this draft, instead of holding on to Lehner, potentially releasing him, or him dropping in value, then we get nothing back for him. And not only that, but in the situation where we don't make the playoffs, we don't win there at all. You know, we don't get any value back for Lehner. We don't make the playoffs. We don't get to have our first round pick. So I figured it was better to get those assets for sure from Chicago than to just hold on to Lehner. And I feel like I'm just talking in circles at this point. So we'll just sim the rest of the season here, because that's all there really is left to do, as this team just is not going anywhere this season. So Mrazek, if you somehow manage to get at least 15 wins for this team, I will be officially impressed. So we'll check out the stats at the end of the video, because once again, this team is not making it. I'm sorry, it's just not. We're gonna sim up to the end of the season, and I'm so sorry, Edmonton. I am so sorry, Edmonton fans. This is not how I envisioned this season for sure. As, yeah, we picked up another loss there, and there's another, yeah, this team is not, no. I think even if we had, and then there goes Johan Larsson, I think even if we had Robin Lehner during those couple of games, I still don't think he would have won it, just based off how bad the rest of our team's been. Other than McDavid and Marner, of course. And there goes Mrazek. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubting that we are officially not a playoff team at this point. So we'll call up Rodrigue. I mean, we have a 72 and a 64 overall goaltender at this point. Yeah, that's just the kind of season it's been for your Edmonton Oilers. It really is. So, end of March update here. We are definitely not making it. We're at 83 points, and even the San Jose Sharks are not in a wildcard spot, as those wildcards are occupied by both Chicago and St. Louis. So, there's no chance for us. We're officially, mathematically, eliminated from these playoffs, because even if we win the remainder of our, 4 games? Or 3 games? Yeah, 3 games. We have 3 games left. Even if we win all of them, that will take us to 89 points. Chicago has 1 game in hand on us. Okay, so we're not officially mathematically eliminated, but Chicago gets 1 more win, and then we're mathematically eliminated. So, yeah, my prediction was correct. This team is not making the playoffs. I'm glad that we traded Lehner, and yeah, let's just hope. And now we're officially mathematically eliminated, because the most we can get is 87 points now. So let's just hope that that pick is not a top 3 pick. Please do not let that pick be a top 3 pick. Oh my goodness. And Adam Larson's injured. All right, so it wouldn't even have mattered even if we, had gone on a run there. Yeah, that's around where I thought we would be. 85 points. I didn't say it, but that's where I was thinking that we would end up, is at most 85 points, and we got to 85 points. So I'm glad that we did the moves that we did to, trade Leonard, get some assets back. And obviously, the Perry and Shore trade was really just a experiment because of, all the players involved in that trade were slumping. So I figured, why not change the scenery? We'll see if something happens. And it did at first, but it did not have a long-term effect on this team to be able to get us into the playoffs. And once again, McDavid tried his hardest. 81 points, 42 goals, still no playoffs. Alright, so hold on. Before we start stressing out anymore, let's see where we placed in the entire league. Because if it's, okay, we're in 21st right now, so that's not the worst thing in the world. At least we're not, down here. So since we're sitting in 21st, we shouldn't end up getting the first, second, or third overall pick, but we all saw what happened with Chicago this year in the actual draft lottery, so I guess we'll see what happens. But you know what? Before we send it to the draft lottery, let's check the player stats, and this is one draft lottery I'm really not looking forward to. So McDavid with 81 points, as expected, he did fine. Marner with 73 points, he did very well as well. Draisaitl did pick it up, 57 points in 74 games, so he at least got more points that he had in year number 1, but you still expect 65 to 70 points out of Draisaitl for the type of player that he is. Puljujarvi, 52 points, not too bad, career high. I would have liked at least 60 out of him, though, given that he's now an 88. Tyson Barrie, that's a very good season for Tyson Barrie, and that's, once again, this is the reason that I'm not completely upset at that Barrie trade. If Barrie had only gotten, 20 points, then yeah, I would have been really upset about that Barrie trade. But because Barrie clearly still has the ability to lead an offense on a team from the back end, that's still what I consider a long-term investment, and it's not the worst thing that could have happened for sure. So we just have to cross our fingers that first round pick is not a top 3 pick. Nuge with 40 points. So for being on the third line half the year, it's not terrible, but he's definitely shown in the past that he's capable of more. And obviously that slump didn't help him. Dzingel with 39 points, he got switched around. I mean, basically everybody got switched around this year. Patrick Maroon, 33 points. Perry with 30 points. Clefbaum with 29. Yamamoto, 25. Okay, so Yamamoto grew to a 79, first of all. So we saw some decent growth out of him. He had a 25-point season on the fourth line. No power play points, keep in mind. So all those coming from 5-on-5 even strength on the fourth line. And he's nowhere else. He's only on the fourth line as of right now. We took him off the power play earlier, and he didn't even have any power play points on the time that he was on there. So looking like a pretty good future for Kyle Yamamoto. He's 22 already, though, so we still have to see a little bit more growth out of him before we could get too excited. Darnell Nurse with 23 points. Kara, 22. Adam Larsson with 20. Johan Larsson. So Adam Larsson finished with more points than Johan this year. 19 points for Johan Larsson. Short with 18. Bouchard with 11. Byram with 6. Yeah, that rookie defensive pairing really hurt us. Minus 32 and minus 28. That's brutal. Yeah, hopefully this experience will help Bowen Byram and Bouchard in the future. Marody with 4. Bear with 1. Okay, so shots. McDavid with 279 and the rest. Yeah. Shooting percentage, yeah, McDavid 15.1. Nothing new there. Power play goals, McDavid with 11. Draisaitl with 7, so Draisaitl got going on the power play at least. Marner with 6, 24 points on the power play as well. So it looks like the power play may have gotten going. Draisaitl with 2 shorties. Let's see, face-offs. So Draisaitl, 55.8. McDavid, 55.2. Shore, 50.1. Nuge, 48.8. Kara, 46.9. I would rather use Kara as a winger, I think, next year, if possible. Hits, McDavid, 137. Man's just doing everything. 135 for Clefbaum, 134, 100 plus for all these guys right here. Puljujarvi, Larson, Nurse, Perry, Draisaitl, Dzingel, all those guys getting over 100 hits per season. Even Barry, Tyson Barry had 93 hits this year, and he's not really a physical presence, at least not in simulations past, but he definitely hit a lot this year. I don't know if that's just because the other teams had the puck more often compared to us, because, I mean, that would make sense given that we were not a great team this year. But, he still kept up the offense, so that's really all that matters for me for Tyson Barry. So, yes, really solid season for Tyson Barry. 91 hits for Patrick Maroon, 90 for Kara, 79 for Johan Larsson, that's over a hit per game, 79 for Byram, 64 for Shore, 38 for Marner. Yeah, all these guys down here, we know they don't hit. Takeaways to giveaways, so Puljujarvi, Marner, Draisaitl, Nuge, McDavid, all great. Dzingel could have been better for sure. We've seen much better out of him. Clefbaum, that's a good ratio for him. 43 to 44 for Kara needs to be better. Maroon needs to be a little bit better, 43 to 43. I mean, it's not bad, but it's, I expect better out of fourth liners. 41 to 55 for Darnell Nurse. That's actually pretty good for him. 39 to 40 for Perry. Could be better. 36 to 88 for Adam Larson. That's a bit brutal. 35 to 30 for Devon Shore. 32 to 27 for Kailer Yamamoto. So he did fine with defense. He got a little bit of offense, chipped in on the fourth line. Looking promising for Yamamoto. 26 to 65 for Barry. 25 to 45 for Bouchard. 22 to 53 for Johan Larsson. He's probably gone after this season. That's brutal. As a fourth liner, you got to have a much better takeaway to giveaway ratio. At least even, be 22 and 22, that'd be fine. But 22-53, that's just not acceptable. Byram, 17 to 65. Marody, 11 to 10. And Bear, 1 to 2. He barely played. Fights, Barry, Dzingel, and Byram. And in terms of goal, I mean, Mrazek, 903. He started out a bit rough. And Leonard had a 919 when he got traded. So I think this was not a good year overall for your Edmonton Oilers. Other than McDavid and Marner, it was just not good at all. Stuart Skinner had a really good year. 920 save percentage. Hopefully he grows in the offseason. And who we're really concerned about down here, McLeod and Wisniewski. McLeod had 47 points in 63 games. Wisniewski, 39, 21 goals in 63 games played. 71 overall now, too. Not bad. So, let's check the team stats. Goals for per game. We're actually third. 2.74. Goals against per game. We were sixth. 2.74 as well. So, we scored as many goals as we let in. That's just great. Power play actually got much better as the season went on. 20.6. That's, I guess, where Draisaitl got going in that last half of the season. Penalty kill dropped down a little bit from when we last saw 80.5. That was at an 82 before. 6 and 4 in our last 10, but it doesn't really matter. We just we lost too many before it got out of control, before we could really do anything about it. So now comes the part where we might be looking not good. All right, I'm crossing my fingers. Please do not let our pick be the first, second, or third overall pick. That would be brutal. And the playoffs are complete. The Stanley Cup champions are the Winnipeg Jets, and the Calder Cup champions are the Ontario Reign. So here we go. Is our draft pick first, second, or third overall pick? Please no, please no, please no. Okay. We had the 12th overall pick. I'll take it. Definitely not the worst thing that could have happened. Yikes. Alright, that's out of the way. Now we can see the draft class, see what we have coming for us in all the later rounds. Alrighty, so got some medium elites here. Sarenheimo might be a medium elite, so I'll pin him. Cone is a low elite. Santavuri, low elite. Very nice. Schultz might be. Clefbaum might be. So retired players, Joe Thornton is retiring at age 41. 1,588 points. Spezza's retiring. Kunitz, Kessler, Zajac, Hemsky, Backus, Filppula, Seabrook, Bowmeister, Horton, Callahan, MacArthur, Daly, Eves, Pouliot, Raymond, Letestu, Richardson. Alright. And then goaltenders, who's retiring here? Niemi, Montoya, and alright. That'll just about do it for retirements. And Ryan Kessler's now a scout. So luckily, the pick that we traded to Colorado was not the first overall pick, or in the top 3 for that matter. It was number 12. And we got a lot of assets back for Robin Lehner, so I'm satisfied with how this has gone so far. Tyson Barrie produced a lot this season. So once again, definitely not the worst thing that could have happened for that trade. So before we end off the video, let's check out the awards and the playoff tree. So, the Stanley Cup Final, Winnipeg beat Columbus in 5 games. Columbus beat Buffalo in 5, and Buffalo beat Boston in 5 games, and then Boston beat Pittsburgh in 6. It would have been funny if Boston had beat Pittsburgh in 5, because then it would have just been a chain of teams beating each other in 5 games. And then, oddly enough as well, the Jets beat the Blue Jackets in 5 too. So that Boston and Pittsburgh series really destroyed everything about that chain. But nonetheless, there you go. There's the playoffs. And awards. Winnipeg Jets, obviously the Stanley Cup champions. President's Trophy goes to the Nashville Predators, and it was Winnipeg and Columbus in the final. Art Ross, Patrick Kane. Hart, Patrick Laine. Norris, Morgan Riley. Lady Byng, Kuznetsov. Calder goes to Batherson of Ottawa. Conn Smythe goes to Connor Hellebuck of Winnipeg. Vezina goes to Holtby. Jennings goes to Rene. Masterton goes to Mark Pysyk of the Devils now. Selke goes to Bergeron. Ted Lindsay, Patrick Laine, and the Maurice Richard, Patrick Kane. That'll just about do it for this one. Let me know what you guys think of these Edmonton Oilers. What needs to change in the offseason, because we thought this was a good team, a good enough team to at least make a run for the cup, and yeah, it pretty much was the opposite. So let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we get to the draft.